I'm serious. I don't fuck around about that. And Dr. Joe, while his wife delivered, because life doesn't give a fuck if your mother dies. The world I come from doesn't give a shit. So maybe you don't want to be in that world, and that's just fine with me. It's less work for me. It's one less fucking report. One less report. Yes, Herr Doctor.
I have a question for Josh. So, Josh, when he said that he wants to buy this flying school and then take it to the next level, and you were just shaking your head and laughing.
No, I was shaking my head and laughing because the guy's white and he shed a tear because someone wants to buy his business. Mm-hmm. It's better that somebody buys the business
and then take it,
kills you, and then takes it.
Okay.
That's why I was laughing. That's what's going on right now in South Africa.
Really?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't laughing about that pun. I missed that.
Okay.
Yeah. But the opportunities for black people in South Africa are, let's say, abundant right now. They're abundant. But there's 5 or 6 places in the world that are just like that. But most of you kids won't go to them. They won't go to them. And but that was cute, the 2 little kids in the suits and the little pocket. Now, the kids have a chance. If he doesn't drum it too much like I did, force feed the spinach down so they choke. But what are the takeaways from the young man?
He takes action immediately.
Yep.
Before he left the castle.
Yep. He does. And he does. And you can see from his weekly reports that he's taken a lot of action, and the enterprise value of his deals since he left in 4 months, as he said, I believe is about 5 times the value, and the value of his business is about $20 million. So these businesses are about $100 million.
Yeah. So he displayed a lot of courage. I mean, I could see it in his face. He was stressed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He stands up. He also stands up. A lot of the best guys and gals stand up at their desk. A lot of the best guys and gals walk a treadmill and stand at their desk. By the way, I can just tell you the perfect speed after 10 or 15 years of this is 4 kilometers an hour. You can still type and do this shit. I asked Marcus Bauer when we had dinner with him, because he was one of the first to stand at the desk. And he said that, and this guy is a finely tuned world-class athlete back in the day. And he says, when you stand at your desk, muscles that you don't even know ache and hurt for weeks until you get used to it. But he says that he doesn't have any sit-down desks. But standing and walking the treadmill 4 kilometers an hour. So, what else about him?
Well, he mentioned that the sector is important for the banks. Yeah.
Non-recourse. We wanted that went over everybody's head. Non-recourse means you don't have to pay the money back. So why? World Bank, International Monetary Fund, those kind of things, and they've got special banking set up in South Africa to do that. They pick if the industry needs, and I don't know if milking or the aviation one is. They need it in the country, they give you the money, they loan you the money with no recourse. In other words, if you don't pay it back, you're supposed to pay it back, but if you don't pay it back, they don't chase you. And IMF, World Bank, International Monetary Fund all have the same money. One of the guys years ago took him 81 calls to find the right banker in the World Bank to get the money for his deal. You could buy lumber in Florida, ship it to Italy for less than you could buy lumber in Austria, which is connected to Italy, and bring it to Italy. And so the World Bank gave sawmills and special dispensation and non-recourse money to the forestry industry in Austria. It took him 81st phone call, 81st. And I'm saying generically, most of you won't make 3 phone calls, let alone 80. To the same bank. Well, and then they put you to the next, he's on holiday. They went home early. 81. 81. Anything else? What else? Yes, Joe.
I was going to say, he's put himself in a position where he's forced to perform because he basically went to his business partner and said, hey, just give me enough to get by.
Correct.
So obviously there's probably more enterprise value in the business than what he's taking out right now, but
yeah, there is.
you know, he's just like, listen, I want to force myself to be uncomfortable, force myself to perform, so give me the bare minimum to feed my kids and all.
And then he wants to do an LBO, and the employees buy him out. And he's given himself to the end of the year to draw a paycheck from one of these acquisitions, which may or may not happen. I mean, just because, you know, because you don't, and Josh can attest to this, you never know what's really in a business till you buy it. And you got to run it, and you actually see the money come through the door and the expenses, etc. You never know for sure. Even with an audit, you never know for sure. You never know for sure. And because
I'll just give you an example. There's shit that comes up that it wouldn't be in an audit. So if you've got a Filipino who's paying off a doctor because he's taking cash from his personal checking account and paying off the doctor, and all of a sudden that doctor's not referring cases to you anymore, that doesn't come up with an accounting firm going through bank statements.
yeah.
So, Filipinos. Bless you guys, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not even meant to find fraud or anything, auditors.
No, only obvious fraud. Obvious fraud.
Financial fraud.
Yeah. A financial audit only checks every 10th invoice. I mean, if they, the 6th that they don't check, maybe, Sally's got horror stories when she was in an audit at E&Y, and the E&Y or PwC or BDO will say, yeah, they own the building, they own this, they have this, they've amortized the equipment relatively okay, yada, yada. They probably should have used straight line instead of the accelerated depreciation. And you don't need to know any of this, guys. I'm just telling you, these are words that are foreign to many of you. Fine, let them stay foreign. But you don't need to know any of that. But, yes, sir.
What I don't understand is why can't you finance yourself through the acquisition deal as well? So a performance-based bonus.
You do. Yeah, but I mean, his deals, okay, I'll explain now. You buy company A, and you got your dream team and all the bullshit, okay? And you've decided 2% or 1% or 0.5%, whatever you decide to give to the other directors. You give the CEO 10, you give the CFO 5, and you still got 65 or 70%, okay? Okay. Now you buy a business. You buy a $10 million revenue business that bottom, and you overfinance it with a motivated seller. You overfinance it for 11 millions. Okay, I have a mentee who's a wealth banker, and when he says billions, his eyes sparkle. His name is Dom. He's a Swiss guy. But anyway, Dom, God bless you. Anyway, so you overfinance it for that extra million. Then, and they're going to ask you, well, why do you need that extra money? Well, the easiest answer, and normally the most accurate, is you need it for working capital. CapEx, you're going to improve the shit, rebrand, whatever the fuck you call it. Not being dishonest. Okay. So now that extra million, let's say you give each director, I'm making it simple, 50 grand. So that eats up about 300 grand if my numbers are right. UK, a couple hundred grand. That's 500, and you keep 500 in the business. That's you call it performance bonus. They're called acquisition bonuses. Okay. Then you're paying them once you have a business that cash flows. You're paying them for, let's say, the CFO, which is a real employee, the CEO, because it's not you, are real employees. So on a $10 million business, their salary may be, I'm just guessing, $200,000 for the CEO or $250,000 for the CEO and $150,000 for the CFO. That comes out of normal operating expenses. Directors aren't going to get anything other than honorariums if you have board meetings. When they come into the board meeting, you give them $5,000 a meeting. In the beginning of the little teeny companies, you give them $500 a meeting. And normally, well, for example, and I'm not fishing here, on the boards that I don't collect my honorariums. I tell them to give out to the because I need $5,000 like I need a poke in my dick with a pencil. So I give it back to the other board members, and that's how it's funded. And then the bigger the company, and the bigger the acquisition, ideally the larger the overfinancing. But when he had never heard of non-recourse money before, never. I said it. I must have said it 25 fucking times. You know how you came up to me and talked to me privately in the company? Non-recourse means what again? They don't chase you when you don't pay. They understand that. It's still obligated, but they don't chase you when you don't pay. How many fucking times do I have to say that? It's like you buy 3 or 4 or 5 of the 6 guys got this kind of car he's got, which I don't know from dog shit, but anyway, they seem to their chest gets big when they talk about this car. But you buy, what does it cost? A couple $100,000, $250. How much does it cost? Nobody knows.
100.
What?
About 200.
Okay, $200. You don't have to pay the money back, Doc. Here's the car. If you can make the payments, fine. That's non-recourse. Now your eyes seem to light up. They understood that part. Okay. Now he went. He said, like he said, I would have never known that. I didn't know that before. The old man, he's getting brave now. He wouldn't say that if he were standing here. But and they do have. And I said, most of the third world countries. And South Africa would tell you they're not a third world country, but they have non-recourse money available. The naturals for non-recourse money are almost all the South American countries, almost all the Central American countries, almost all the South African continent countries, about a third of the old Iron Curtain countries, and some of the Asian countries, not China, and not Japan, because the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, etc., they want to promote, well-being, if you will, in the countries. And when I told him, and I tell everybody, go and find where the non-recourse money is, and your acquisition's there. For those of you that live in those kind of places. Now, you're not going to come from New Jersey and go to Ethiopia and get non-recourse money. If I think New Jersey is a third world country, but that's a whole other story. Okay, if you're in Ethiopia, and we have kids from Ethiopia, and you can get non-recourse money if they've earmarked the area or the industry as deprived, not depraved, deprived, and it needs economic help. You can get money. Back after World War II, back in the day, and for those of you from Germany, your grandparents had the ability to get non-recourse money. And I guarantee, I've never had a German family come through here that any of their grandparents ever even heard of it. Because if you don't ask, you don't get. That's all foreign because it was out. Nobody knew anything, But he did it, and I said I would stick to the non-recourse industries. I would stick. It seems like a no-brainer. You look like deers in the headlight when I'm telling you this. It seems like a no-brainer because it is a no-brainer. You don't have to pay the fucking money back. This may be a slower group than the normal, but Doc, do you understand that? Doc, do you understand that? Yeah. Okay. Other questions or comments about our South African Al Capone?
Not specifically about that, but you mentioned that you pay your CEO. But if you're not the CEO yourself, what does that make you?
Expendable.
But I suppose you'll have.
And Dutch snowflakes are more expendable than. Anyway, seriously, we're getting ahead of it. But Now, managing director or director of business development. What do you call yourself? Principal. You can call it, when you own a majority of the stock, you can call yourself any fucking thing you want. There's official title controller, and the controller reports up to a CFO or a finance director, and there's a real title treasurer. Some guys come back, they always wanted to be a treasurer. I don't know why. Maybe they're
President.
yeah. Well, president, managing director, president, and CEO are normally kind of the same, depending on where you are. Yeah. Call yourself anything as long as you get. I don't mind eating last if I eat most. I learned that from the Onassis people. I don't mind eating last if I eat most. So don't fight over the chicken shit stuff.
You could sit on the board as a NED as well.
What?
Non-executive director.
Absolutely. Oh, no. Well, yes. Are you an executive director? You have to be.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah. So no, most of the founders are executive directors, meaning they sign. Now, when I did it, I didn't want to sign for something. I turned it all over. The checks, everything. I used to have for checks that were over 50,000 or 5 million. I forget. It needed 3 signatures, and so day-to-day checks up to 5,000 was 1 signature. The controller used to do that, and they had 1, 2, or 3 signatures so you can have controls. But when you got a $1 million business, I know people can steal from $1 million business, and when it happens to you, it's 100%. Dan said this, Dan said that, but the bottom line is you don't have time to do this shit. You don't have time to do this shit. Anything else?
He made himself look higher up by doing all the car stuff and making.
Yeah. I remember when he wrote. He said that he had no idea. He said it was expensive, the rolls and the driver, but it's I don't know how. Sally rented that car for me for my birthday when we were in London. So, but the big hotels, the Ritz, when you're a big client, and I am, quite often they give you a car to drive you around, and normally though it's a Jaguar limo, and I love it, and I kind of have sex when I'm in the Jag, and everybody at the Ritz knows that by now because I love Jags. Give me a sexual experience, yeah. And part of the reason that most of the executives in British government drive Jags, that's the reason, because of the privatization. And I'm sure that I'm not sure, but Jag probably gives him a good deal. What else about our guy? He's an example of not a guy that started from scratch, although he's phasing himself out of that business and he's selling it to his employees, and he's doing almost exactly what I told him to do, and he's had a lot of success. And yeah, there are certain areas of the country that the political environment has made this easier. This meaning QLA. Anything else?
Is he buying different industry?
Yeah, he's building a conglomerate. He didn't mention the other 3 or 4, but he talked about aviation and milk.
Yeah, so it was kind of weird.
Yeah. Okay, YouTube. Bye. Talk to you later.